Hey, what is up, you guys? This is Arnold the Vet representing the Punch Drunk Podcast, and welcome to the third installment. Tonight's episode, we will be covering the event which was EFC 89, held September 11th at the EFC Performance Institute in Paul's of Santon, and a lot of new faces at EFC 89. On the night, we of course went there to cover the event and had nothing but good things to say about the event. If you were to follow us on Instagram as well, a few of the times we did go live to try and bring the action to the fans, of course, who could not be watching it via DSTV or the likes. And we've also been updating it on Twitter, just for you guys to interact with us as well and see what was going on if you guys weren't as privileged to be able to watch the event. So guys, let's go right into the first fight of the night, which was Prince Lolya versus Musa Sitwape. Both gentlemen making their debut on the night, and Prince Lolya walking away with a win. And he is also the training partner of Anise Kanyewa, Conrad Siabi, coming from the Brothers in Arms camp, and whereas Musa Sitwape represented Mamelodi Warriors on the night. It was a good fight, went all 3 rounds, and very nice way to actually open up the card in my mind. Both gentlemen made it clear that they wanted to be there and put on a performance for the individuals watching at home. Lolya went out there with his superior boxing. Both of these gents are strikers, and Prince Lolya just took over the fights with impeccable striking. It was good. It was back and forth maybe from your first round and such, and Lolya just took over. There was blood, there was action, there was strikes galore, and I feel that fight, 30-27, definitely well deserved for Prince Lolya. Second fight showed us the debut of Gift Walker, and he went up against a newcomer as well, and Gift seemed to have a little bit of jitters, just maybe the feeling out process there, coming from the amateur circuit, going into the big leagues, of course, as they would like to say. But I don't feel that EFC presented anything to Gift that he hasn't obviously seen before. I just feel that on the night he had a tough opponent and was maybe a little bit surprised with Martin's durability and toughness, and of course the boxing of Martin too. But nevertheless, Gift got it done in the third round. He won via mounted guillotine, and of course secured his very first professional win. I do believe that EFC will go and help Gift, because Gift has got such amazing star power. Maybe help him to mold him into a future title holder, and which is very plausible. I'm not saying he's going to be getting the easiest fights out there, but definitely they're not going to be throwing him in the deep end. Of course, we all know that. But you guys can definitely expect big things from Gift Walker. Very nice guy, and I was so impressed actually with the media day we had a week prior to the event. It's just, he's got this energy about him, and I feel that people gravitate towards that. And as he's mentioned as well, that going to House of Tinkerbell and training there in Springs, it feels like a family. And you can really see that, and it's great to see, of course, in the fights in it as well, is that when they move around, when they train, when they interact with people and such, you always feel so welcome in their presence. And I really feel that it needs to be commended. Well done to JP and team for instilling that within, the camp. And keep it up. It's very good to see, and very rare actually in this environment. Actually, MMA as a whole, it's always filled up with, these tough guys and profanities and whatnot, and one guy wanting to kill each other, well, 2 guys wanting to kill each other, and yeah, it's a breath of fresh air. So well done guys, keep it up. I really like the energy. Third fight saw a return of Ashley Calvin, whose last fights in the EFC was actually in 2015, and there was a loss against Sizwe Nikati, and he went up against Gulo King Sondi from the DRC, making his debut. And very impressive win there by Ashley Calvert. Of course, after such a lengthy layoff, a few things happen. You either get demotivated and just fade into obscurity, especially having maybe the unfortunate record that Ashley does. he went out there to prove a point. And I feel that if you do compete within MMA for so long and it's in your blood, and of course having the record not really portray your skill set, if I could put it that way, that drive is always within you, and that itch never goes away. You just want to finish things off on a high note. So whoever actually is going to be mounting a comeback and making a run at a title, or just having prolonged fights within the EFC, or whether that was a one and done, that remains to be seen. Actually, if you're listening to this podcast, please comment and maybe share with us the status as to what the idea behind that is. Of course, actually having a lot of fans, young and old, of course. There would have been people from back in the day watching EFC. I believe a very good fight, which you all may remember, was against Wade Groff, where it was Wade Groff versus Ashley Calvert, of which that night Wade Groff walked away with the win, which was actually a fight of the night as well. So very talented, and Ashley Calvert has been doing this for years. And unfortunate for Gulo Sondi, who I am sure will also be bouncing back pretty soon, because he looks the part. And I mean, his amateur record also wasn't really not too bad. And of course, Ashley Calvert winning the fight via submission with a guillotine choke in the very first round. So that would bring it to about 2 guillotine chokes. This is in the first 3 fights. So two fights ending by way of guillotine. And this is important to note, because we will be discussing that all-important move at the main events as well later on. 4 fights showed us Vince Bembe from Dominator's Den versus Warren Richards. A very game Warren Richards in that. The fights ended in the second round via TKO. Vince Bembe just mounting a vicious ground and pound. And man, I just saw elbows flying from everywhere. The fight was a little bit back and forth. I really thought that Warren was really into it, and I thought to myself that Vince was in trouble. Maybe 1 or 2 times there in the first round, you would see Vince being on top, having the top position there, Warren just flipping it over and then maintaining position. But the second round, I think Vince just pulled it together, and for all the marbles, he went in there and gave a vicious ground and pound, and hope Warren's okay. Warren always comes in and he's got such tenacity about him and always looks in shape. That guy's in phenomenal shape. And unfortunately on the night, it wasn't his night, and Vince Bembe goes to 2-0. And I feel that guys need to look out for Vince Bembe, of course, because this guy's got skills, man. His first victory was via a Von Flue choke. And this shows you that not only is the guy proficient on the ground, but he's also got a little bit of a vicious streak within him. Those elbows were something else. So, he's really someone to look forward to. Definitely a top prospect in the EFC. And then, of course, I feel the fight to end off the prelims was Eduardo Barros from Angola versus Orlando Machava. This fight went all 3 rounds. And of course, Barros being the winner there by the unanimous decision. Eduardo Barros just treated everyone to a striking clinic. There's no 2 ways about it. And hats off to Machava for sticking in there as long as he did, never giving up. And both of these individuals basically gave their all and just put on a show for the EFC. I feel it needs to be mentioned as well that, EFC are bringing these guys over, and, we're having good fights. You can see the winning recipe here, I would say, is get an exciting striker or a submission specialist and put them up against someone who is tough as nails. And you will see that fight go for 2-3 rounds easily. Because a lot of people would be disappointed, when it's like slightly mismatched, which is obvious, of course, not at the fault of the EFC, but some people aren't just prepared yet, if I can put it that way. And you'll have your fights finish off in the first round, second round, or whatnot. So in these fights, we would have seen at Lolia versus Setwabe, the very first fight. Barros versus Machava, this would be the 5th fight. As well as almost Gift Walker versus Martin's fight was almost the full 3 rounds. Okay. So it's really refreshing seeing this, because prior to this event, I'd say EFC 88 and 87, actually even 86, a lot of the fights finished in the very first round. And it's so disappointing as a fan, having to go and watch the event, or, pay money to watch the events. Either you watch it on efcworldwide.tv, or in a sense, we could have very well been paying tickets to go and see this. And for the fights to be ending so early is very disheartening. So it's very, very good seeing these fights going, the distance. So big ups to these guys and the athletes for sticking it out and putting on a performance. Speaking of which, of course, Ashiashu Chitamba versus Taka Mandu, the very first fights of the main card, also actually went to the judges' scorecards on the night, and Taka was the winner via split decision on the night. So it was a very good fight, and thank you to Graham for bringing Taka over from Ireland. And he's such a nice guy, so humble as well. And I'm expecting him to just grow from here. I feel that as he's mentioned at the post-fight press conference, he was trying to find his feet in there a little bit, get rid of the jitters, if you will. And he was thrown in there with a very tough opponent in Ashiashu Chitamba. I've actually asked Taka on the nights at the post-fight press conference. I've asked him, did he feel that there was any pressure on him, to make a statement coming in and, putting on a very good performance, coming in from Ireland to represent, on your very first night. And, his answer was pretty clear. It's the fact that, he's happy in a sense that there's always pressure, of course, but he's happy in a sense that it went the way it did, and it went the full 3 rounds, because it will showcase his skill set, and it will show that he's actually not just there, for shits and giggles, and he's not a hype job. Okay, so this would show that Taka actually belongs, and that's the truth. I cannot disagree, because Taka's fight was very good. Although in the fight, Chitamba had some very good success as well with the striking exchanges. I was a little bit concerned seeing Taka throwing his combinations, and every time he would basically evade the punches of Chitamba, I would feel that Taka's chin was up in the air a little bit too much for my liking. And I remember just thinking to myself, I was like, Taka, tuck that chin. But it is what it is, man, and I'm sure his coaches would go over that and, of course, work on it. But maybe that was just me. Maybe there was nothing to worry about. Both athletes, of course, putting on a stellar performance. And there were so many fights actually on this card that we could have potentially grabbed fights of the night. And this was, of course, one of them. So well done to those 2 athletes as well. I feel that a lot of these fights, where the guys put on a show like this, there virtually is no losers. Although technically there's a winner and a loser, both of these individuals' stock just go up. And that's a win-win for EFC as well as the athletes, because as long as you put on a show and you give the fans what they want, like Graham said, you'll always have a place within the EFC, and that's fantastic. Then the second fight on the main card was the third fight on the main card was Pete Coxon, a veteran, versus JT Buerta, who would be looking at redemption after losing his first pro fight, of course, in the EFC. And what a statement he did make. He won the fight 4 minutes and 46 seconds into round 1 with a vicious body kick to Coxon. And he was so ecstatic and such a humble guy as well. He really knows what he wants in the fight game, and he's got good guys behind him in Morne Foster and the team there at CRT. And I'll tell you, if you're in good hands like that, you're going to have a good career. Like JT said, that everything happens for a reason, and they are firm believers or such. And I feel that the timing actually was great. Drikas, of course, doing fantastic things within the UFC. He's facing off against the top 15 competitor very soon, and I feel that JT Buerta can duplicate, the same success, if he just remains focused as well, and sticks to the game plan, and he can go on a tear in middleweight. And I feel that, the middleweights need to look out for him, because it seems like he really takes his career seriously, man. And it's unfortunate what has happened in the past, the injury and the loss and such. But I feel that it's going to be a while before someone can actually put the brakes on him. He was looking very crisp and very fresh on the night, and he left Coxon, I believe, with some cracked ribs as well. And it's a shame to see, because we all love PT Coxon, of course, seeing him for so long compete, and he's given us some memorable moments in the cage as well. So PT, if you are hearing this, we do hope that you get well soon, bud. And of course, regards to the little one, and good luck, guys. Very controversial fight was the fight thereafter, was Calder Hitman Henning versus August Kayambala. And man, August winning that fight via split decision. A lot of people on social media are torn, between, well, not actually torn. A lot of people are calling this a robbery, and are basically stating that August did not win that fight, because if anything, Henning had the cage control and such. And it's hard to argue with them and disagree, because I feel like, we've all been seeing the same fight. We've all been seeing a fight that maybe the judges were not privy to see, I don't know. But, the judges often do get it wrong. And that's why, there's a saying in MMA in general, is never leave it to the judges, because you can get disappointed and the results will not go in your favor, and you will get some ridiculous scores. I mean, there's a judge that scored all 3 rounds for August, and I don't know how that is possible, because if we were watching the same fight, if you would maybe give 1 round to Cole or 2, I would very well say round 1 could have gone to August. I feel he had some success there. Round 2 could have gone either way. Round 3, Cole did dominate, and I'd say round 2 and round 3 was pretty much more of the same, in the sense that where August has his moments and he would explode on Cole, and he would have some good success with those exchanges, but generally throughout the round you'll have Cole backing August up into August's corner and keeping him there, and just basically picking him apart via strikes, and no damage really on both fighters. So I feel that that's also where the judges maybe find it difficult to judge the fight, because if there's no clear winner, it's a toss-up. You might as well just throw a coin in the air and then just call it. But a lot of people feeling that Cole did take that fight. I personally, for the record, I feel that Cole did take that fight. And yeah, it is what it is, guys. I mean, this isn't the first time I've been disappointed with bad calls there by the judges. If we were to look back at I believe it was Gareth Bursky versus Cal Eleanor, and man, I think that was one of the first times I've actually took some of my hard-earned money and put some money on the fight. And I believe they were still sponsored by Bet Exchange at the time. And I remember myself and my girl like jumping up and down saying, yeah, we've made it, we're rich. Cal is clearly winning this fight, and only for the judges to come spoil our party and rain on our parade, and then calling Bursky out as the winner. And yes, if you look at it, guys, I mean, you can be on such a tear, such a good record, and it can be all taken away by judges who are seemingly incompetent. So whether that is the case and such, I feel that some extra effort needs to be done within the judging system, not just the judging, but sometimes the reffing system as well. We've seen what happened at the last EFC prior to EFC 89, was within the Julio Plaikis match. So these things happen. You can't go and crucify a person on mistakes or whatnot, but if it happens over and over again, something has to be done. But it's in the past. It was an exciting fight, and that's all we could ask for at the end of the day. And maybe I'm just bitter because I lost some more money, which is neither here nor there. Maybe I should stop gambling. But I feel that I did make a pretty considerable donation to World Sports Betting at the end of the day. So I hope they're happy. And August, of course, congratulations with your win. We did, of course, interview August prior to the fight, and August seemed very motivated and very focused. He's got a lot of self-belief in himself, and you can expect a lot of good things from him going forward. We all just felt that, this fight was hyped up beyond belief, and we were so sure we were going to see a KO or TKO within this fight. And it's like putting two wrestlers together. When you put two good wrestlers together, you oftentimes don't see a wrestling clinic. You see someone getting knocked out, surprisingly, because both people respect each other's wrestling. So I feel that in a sense that this is the same way it went down, with Cole being a very efficient striker, August himself as well, whereas Cole might be better on the ground, with jits and such. So technically speaking, he might be better than August over there. I feel that August just makes up for it with sheer power. So I feel that they respected each other in that sense. There was no takedowns, there was no grappling, and they tried to strike it out. And both of these individuals, of course, wary of the other one's power, and you don't want to go out like that. So it is what it is. It was still fantastic of Graham to put that fight together for us. So, and besides that, even if the Cole versus the Kayambala fight did not deliver as we would have hoped as much, there was still a host of other fights which actually exceeded our expectations. For instance, your Barris versus Machava fight, and then of course your Mandu versus Chitsamba as well. You just saw a great KO by JT Buerta just moments before, and of course you saw a fantastic opener as well. So at the end of the day, guys, we don't really have much to complain about, let's just be honest. But enough about that fight. The very last fight on the card was, of course, the main event for the vacant flyweight title, which was between Nkazimolo Zulu versus Lutando Biko. And to be honest, leading up to this match, we've seen the shape that Zulu was in, of course, the training camp that he went through, and a lot of people didn't give Zulu any chance to really win this fight. Just felt that Biko had the skills and the type of style that will defeat Zulu. As we have seen, of course, with Zulu in the past, he does tend to struggle with grapplers, he does tend to struggle with wrestlers. But I'd put it down to Zulu, of course, did do what was necessary in training, and he's, of course, training with someone like as highly decorated in wrestling as Igor Cabeza himself. I feel that would have paid dividends on the night in actually assisting Zulu when he went and won the fight in the second round. So, first round, very dominating by Biko. I felt that we were going to see 5 rounds basically of this, and Zulu came out in the second round and surprised us all by actually locking in a submission. So if you were to look at the replays, and if you go into our Instagram, if you go into our Twitter, and you would maybe look at the playback of that fight. So Biko goes and dominates in the first round. Zulu has some success with the strikes, but it's pretty much Biko taking Zulu down and, of course, maintaining the top position and, landing a few good punches from the top. Second round comes and Zulu looks a little bit more composed. He's picking his shots better and such. Biko is, of course, struggling to take him down. When the fight does go to the ground, Biko tries and locks in a guillotine submission, and Zulu escapes and, of course, reverses it and puts Biko in the guillotine of his own. And I did not see that coming, but he made Biko tap by a guillotine choke. So this is like, Zulu is such a fantastic striker, and we always promote Biko as a person with superior ground skills and superior jits. And of course, he's being trained by Chris Bright, who is no slouch and is a legend within the BJJ circles. And Zulu just went and submitted Lutando Biko. Now, of course, Zulu is not eligible to win the title, and of course, because of missing weight. Prior to, of course, facing off against Biko, Zulu did miss weight by about 900 grams, and the title fight would still be contested, but the only person who would be eligible to win the title would, of course, be Lutando Biko. So Zulu pulls it off, does not win the title, and now has to have another climb, towards the strap. And as was made evident on the post-fight press conference, is the fact that who really is out there that can, challenge for the strap or, be a good fight for Zulu and Biko, both respectively. So pretty much Biko very unhappy with the decision, unhappy with the result, and calling for a rematch, which is fair. And Zulu also agrees, as a good sportsman, that a rematch is to be held, and I feel that's a good idea, considering that Zulu did miss weight on the night, and it was a disappointing end to Biko's night, let's face it, and I feel he is justified in calling for that rematch. I mean, Jake Hadley is doing things over, in the States. He's got his visa sorted out, and I believe he is soon to be debuting in the UFC. And I don't see him coming back anytime soon to basically defend against Zulu. And I feel that if Zulu doesn't implement a different game plan, you might just see more of the same against Jake Hadley. And that is basically just a grapple fest, if you will. And Jake obviously had good control on that fight as well. But enough about that. It is what it is. Zulu is not the champion. Neither is Biko. Possibly they'll have a rematch at flyweight. The fight that win, of course, performance of the night honors. And very happy for the guys. I mean, there's a lot of fights which were amazing. It was a good card. I called it before the event even started. Said, there's a lot of these fights that are sleepers, that could possibly steal the show on the night. And I'm pleased to say that I feel justified that I was indeed correct. So where to from here? I feel that Zulu and Biko should have a rematch. Going down the line, I don't think there should be anyone else really contesting for that belt besides those two for now, unless there's other clear-cut winners, like your Julio Plaikis and them. They are obviously coming up still, and the pool there, who hasn't Zulu fought, who hasn't Biko fought, it doesn't make sense really. So Henning versus Kayambala, of course. Then what's next for these two? Kayambala will now probably go back to featherweight and possibly contest there for the featherweight championship, as I don't believe that EFC will be eager to be fighting for the championship, so close to losing it, if you will. So they would most likely try and match up August with Exxon, possibly. Cole Henning, I expect him to still do a lot of great things at lightweight. I don't see him as a hype job or someone that the EFC has created. I've seen Cole's work ethic, and Cole really puts in the hours, and Cole is a fantastic fighter. He is very technical. Styles make fights, and I feel that they have to put him up there, against I guess another striker again, someone who presses forward and stuff and such. I feel that August, at the end of the day, he was just a little bit more tentative and cautious, and that won him the fight eventually. So maybe someone who comes forward with reckless abandon. I feel that Cole always will have a career within the EFC for entertainment value, if anything else, and he still has a very good possibility of becoming champ one day. I was talking about it, maybe hinting at a fantasy matchup. What would be the odds of us seeing Cole Henning versus Leon Maynard? That will be fantastic. So, and like I said, I don't know what's next for Ashley Calvert, whether he plans on making this a long-term deal with the EFC or if it's just a one and done. We have seen some of those before. We'll have to see. A lot of these people, of course, pointing in the same direction at the end of the day, that everyone has to stick together, support the EFC, support the fighters. And of course, in this podcast, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. Trying to just generate a little bit of buzz around the fighters, and letting you guys, the audience, know who to look out for, where to tune in, and so that you guys at the end of the day can relate with these fighters. Everyone started somewhere, and of course you'll look at like the UFC. Some people don't know who some of those guys are, but you basically showcase it to an audience. People become invested. Same as their tagline for the I'm in with their fighters being invested, and they're getting like shares and such. I feel that the fans need to be invested as well. They're maybe to consider when the doors are open again post-COVID, they should maybe consider dropping the prices of their tickets, so that the majority of individuals who you would rely on as becoming your fan base can actually afford to go and watch these guys compete. Too many times, when COVID wasn't a big thing, you would sit there and, the seats would be half empty, and it wasn't a good look. You would see it like dwindling from years prior to what it eventually became. So I feel that it could also be a blessing in disguise, if the EFC were to maybe consider just altering a few things as well, so that when the doors open again, we'll have the fighters motivated, we'll have the fans coming in again, and actually do some good things, and we can all grow from this, But yeah, guys, so EFC 90 taking place in October, and we will potentially be seeing Aniset Kanyeba competing on that card. Of course, Aniset being pulled from this very card here for neurological reasons, which was not disclosed to us. So we'll see how the card shapes up, and we also do know that Julio Plakis will be facing off against Wade Kashbay as well, which proves to be a good fight and a very tough test for Julio. But that's going to be a good fight, guys. So if you guys have got any questions or want to raise anything with us, you guys are welcome to hit us up on Instagram at Punch Drunk Podcast MMA is the handle. And of course on Twitter as well. I believe it's the same. Facebook, not really all that active. But what I am going to be trying to do is as well go live, on apps like TikTok and Instagram and such, on a frequent basis. And of course, when the events are on as well. And this is just basically to just generate a better reach, for the MMA fans out there. Because at the end of the day, if you guys are invested, we've got something to do, and we've got someone to talk to, and we can all enjoy doing what we do. So, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight's episode, and I'm sorry it was not the most exciting. We didn't have Iga in here, we didn't have a fantastic guest, but I just felt let's just do a little bit of a review of EFC 89 and give my 2 cents. Not that it counts for much, maybe, but what I would have thought of EFC 89 and what to look forward to at EFC 90. If there's anything else that you guys would like to raise with me, please do get in touch. If there's anyone that you guys would like on the show, please feel free to reach out and contact us as well. It's been real. I did enjoy doing this. And of course, we will touch base with you guys very shortly when we will be potentially doing a co-hosted event or a podcast on Wednesday night with Combat Cave as well. Looking forward to that one. And we'll discuss their potential matchups, fantasy matchups, what was with EFC 89 and of course what we can look forward to, and then we'll take it from there. But guys, it's been real. It is now 9:15, and right after this I'm going to bed. So peace out, good night, and take care.